God's chosen ones. In the next 3 days, what was hidden will be revealed. Chosen one. This isn't a message, it's a divine timestamp. Heaven scheduled this moment for your ears only. You've cried in secret, lost in silence, waited while the world moved on. But God says the delay wasn't denial, it was disguise. And in the next 3 days, everything that broke you will finally make sense. Doors that mocked you will open. Prayers that felt ignored will be answered. And the silence you survived will speak in your favor. You're not standing in coincidence, you're standing at the edge of resurrection. You didn't just survive. You passed. Type 777 if your spirit just whispered, this is my word. You were never behind. You were being built. She didn't tell anyone. But last night, she almost gave up. She sat in the dark. Phone in one hand, Bible in the other, neither offering much comfort. It had been too long. Too many prayers prayed into silence. Too many dreams buried beneath bills. Betrayal and bitter disappointments. Everyone kept saying God's timing, but no one explained what to do with the heartbreak while you wait. She wasn't bitter, just tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of holding on when nothing seemed to be holding her. But someone told her not to quit. A whisper so soft, it couldn't have come from her own strength. 3 days. At first, she didn't understand. Then she stumbled upon this. Not a sermon, not a speech, a signal. And for the first time in months, she exhaled, because somewhere deep in her spirit, she knew this wasn't just a video. It was a divine appointment. She didn't miss her moment. She was the moment. Heaven had just been waiting on her to stop apologizing for being chosen. And now, the shift is already in motion. And nothing, not the delay, not the silence, not even the scars can stop what God is about to do. Chapter 1. The prophetic countdown has begun. She didn't feel the shift at first. Not with fireworks, not with thunder. Just stillness. The kind of stillness that doesn't mean nothing's happening. The kind that means heaven just held its breath. It had been a long season of silence. Doors closed. Prayers delayed. Every time she thought breakthrough was near, something collapsed again. But 3 days ago, the atmosphere changed. The weight didn't lift, but something sacred pressed in. Almost like God was closer than usual. Almost like something was counting down quietly, invisibly, divinely. You're standing at the edge of a holy reversal. The Spirit whispered, don't blink now. You'll miss the moment it turns. And even though nothing looked different, everything felt different. See, the natural world runs on clocks, but heaven runs on alignment. And when your heart finally stops striving, when you say yes with nothing left to give, that's when the countdown begins. It doesn't look like movement. It looks like a sleepless night, a journal entry that ends with tears, a moment of surrender in the bathroom mirror. But in the spirit, the clock starts ticking. 72 hours, and what was withheld for years begins to unlock. She checked the mail, still no answer. She checked her phone, still no reply. But she could feel it deep in her belly. Something holy was building. Not because she deserved it, but because she didn't quit. That's what the enemy underestimated. He thought the waiting would break her, but the waiting built her. Now, she's walking into fulfillment. Not with pride, but with fire. It's not random, heaven says. It's right on schedule. What you think is slowness is actually strategy. The reason it took so long was because God wasn't just preparing the blessing. He was preparing you to carry it. The next 3 days are not just about breakthrough. They're about completion. Everything that resisted you, it's now under divine order. What once said no is now being commanded to say yes. If this were your moment, if everything heaven promised was now at your door, would you believe it, or would you second-guess yourself one more time? Because the countdown isn't waiting on God. It's waiting on your faith. It's waiting on your full permission to receive what's always been yours. You thought it was locked, but it wasn't locked. It was sealed. And now, it's opening. 3 days, he said, and you'll understand why it had to be this way. Chapter 2. Heaven is flipping the script. She thought it would end there. In the quiet, in the unanswered, in the pages of a journal no one reads but God. She had made peace with the idea that maybe this was it. Not bitter, just surrendered. But surrender is dangerous to the enemy, because when a chosen one lets go of control, heaven takes over the pen. In this chapter, it's not a rewrite, it's a reveal. Heaven isn't changing the story. It's exposing what was hidden inside it the whole time. Here for years, she called it a detour, a mistake, a misstep, a failure, the breakup, the layoff, the silence. But what if it wasn't punishment? What if it was a preparation wrapped in disguise? God had been scripting something deeper, and now that her hands are finally open, he's flipping the page, and suddenly, all the pain starts talking. All the closed doors begin to explain themselves, and the loss she mourned, it starts blooming. I never left you. The Father says, I was just writing something bigger than your fear could comprehend. What the enemy labeled as a breakdown was really an upgrade in progress. That betrayal, it taught you discernment. That delay, it taught you alignment. That wilderness, it taught you how to hear God in the silence. Heaven is flipping the script, not to erase what happened, but to expose what it built. She thought a restoration would be quiet, but God doesn't heal chosen ones in secret when they were broken in public. He is a God of vindication. He prepares tables not in silence, but in the presence of those who counted you out. The same ones who watched you fall will watch you rise with oil still dripping from your scars. What if the delay wasn't denial? What if it was divine storytelling? What if every unanswered prayer was a seed heaven buried to harvest in this very moment? Would you still be angry about the loss? Or would you praise him for the plot? This is not the season where you return to what broke you. This is the chapter where you find out it broke you open, so God could rebuild you in truth. This is where your story gets rewritten, not with ink, but with glory. You're not stuck. You're not cursed. You're not behind. You're right on time, because heaven just turned the page. Chapter 3. You were not behind, you were being built. She used to scroll through everyone else's becoming. The wedding photos, the business launches, the testimonies she'd prayed to live, but only ever witnessed from the sidelines. And silently, she wondered, did I miss something? Did I fall behind? Because it didn't look like she was being chosen. It looked like she was being forgotten. She wasn't asking for fame, just movement. Just proof that the wait wasn't wasted. But every time she looked around, it felt like the whole world was passing her by. She wanted to be content, she tried, but the ache didn't go away, and the calendar felt like a taunt. She kept asking, why not me? Why not now? What no one saw was this. While others were building platforms, God was building her soul. While they were stacking milestones, he was digging deeper foundations. Because fast fruit rots quick, but the kind of calling God placed on her life, it needed time. It needed dark soil. It needed hidden seasons. You weren't behind. You were beneath, rooted, grounded, unshakable. The hardest part wasn't the waiting. It was not being seen while you waited. People mistook your silence for stagnation. They thought nothing was happening. But God was happening inside you. Every lonely night was a consecration. Every closed door was a course correction. Every delay was a detour around destruction. You didn't miss your moment. You were becoming the kind of person who could carry it. What if you weren't late? What if you were simply being protected from premature exposure? Would you still resent the timing? Or would you thank God for the depth? See, he wasn't just trying to give you a platform. He was giving you weight. The kind that holds steady when winds come. The kind that doesn't crumble under pressure. The kind of weight only gained through weeping, surrender, and resilience. the kind that doesn't sparkle, but stabilizes generations. You weren't behind, you were being built. And now, what took others months will take you moments, because your roots go deeper than your reach. This is your accelerated season, not because you chased the clock, but because you submitted to the carpenter. Chapter 4. The doors are opening without you forcing them. She used to knock until her knuckles bled. Auditions, applications, apologies, always trying to fit in, prove herself, earn her spot. She knocked so hard she forgot what peace felt like, what being received felt like. But now, the doors are opening. And this time, she's not the one turning the handle. There's a difference between a door that opens because you forced it and a door that opens because heaven declared it was time. And this isn't hustle. This isn't performance. This is prophetic access. I have set before you an open door, he whispers in Revelation 3. And no man can shut it. Not rejection, not your resume, not even your past. No more begging to be seen. No more shrinking to be accepted. You won't have to manipulate your way in. The invitation will carry your name because heaven already whispered it. You'll walk into rooms you didn't campaign for, be offered positions you didn't apply for, stand in places you thought were beyond you. Not because of who you know, but because of who's been watching you in silence all along. The one who sees in secret is now rewarding you in the open. See, God didn't deny you. He just reserved the right door until your soul was ready to walk through it. Because sometimes the thing you were praying for would have crushed the version of you who prayed for it. But now you've been processed. Now you've been refined. Now you've got the oil to handle the weight. And heaven is opening the door. Without the need for your fingerprints. What if the closed doors weren't rejection, but divine restraint? What if God loved you too much to let you enter a room too soon? She used to think she had to fight to be chosen. Now she knows chosen ones don't strive, they're sent. And where God sends you, He goes before you. He smooths the path. He silences the opposition. He surrounds you with favor like a shield. So when the door opens, don't hesitate. Don't second guess. This isn't counterfeit. This isn't too good to be true. It's right on time. You won't have to force it. You won't have to fake it. You won't have to fracture yourself to fit. This time, you'll walk through fully seen, fully ready, fully whole. The doors are opening, chosen one. And your name has already been written on the other side. Chapter 5. Your resurrection moment is here. They buried her with words. She's too sensitive. She's too late. She's too broken. They didn't realize you can't bury a seed and call it death. You weren't being buried. You were being planted. And now, the stone is rolling away, just like he rose after betrayal. Silence and a tomb with no light. So are you? Not because it makes sense. Not because the crowd believed in you. But because God wrote resurrection into your timeline before anyone ever tried to end your story. You don't have to fake being strong anymore. Strength is rising from the ashes now. Not loud, not flashy, but steady. Sure, Olay, every version of you that had to die. The fearful one, the performance-driven one, the one who begged to be loved. You can lay her down now. She did her job. She got you here. But she doesn't walk into resurrection with you. This version, she walks in with fire in her lungs and oil on her hands. Because death couldn't hold her, and shame couldn't keep her silent anymore. Your joy, coming back, your vision, restored. Your voice, louder than it's ever been, and drenched in heaven's authority. Everything the enemy tried to steal was marked return to sender. With interest, I will restore the years. God said, not the months, not the moments, the years. And you're about to harvest what you didn't even remember planting. What if the version of you that cried at night was the cocoon, but the version waking up now was the butterfly? What if the hardest part is already over, and all that's left is glory? This isn't just breakthrough. This is rebirth. The shift isn't coming. It's already here. And your body can feel it, can it? That holy unrest, that trembling in your spirit. You're not being invited into a blessing. You're being called into position. The old is dead. The grave is empty. And your next chapter, it smells like resurrection oil. They thought it would end with you forgotten. But heaven remembered. And now you will rise. Not just healed, but holy. Not just restored, but reborn. Not just accepted, but anointed. This is your resurrection moment, and nothing can stop it now. This was never just survival. It was sacred becoming. You made it, not just through this message, but through everything the enemy swore would finish you. You didn't just survive delay. You didn't just endure heartbreak. You didn't just outlast silence. You resurrected. You rose. You returned, anointed. The sacred journey you just walked. You were never behind. You were being built. You were never rejected. You were being deserved. The doors didn't open because you pushed harder. They opened because heaven whispered, now. Your resurrection wasn't loud. It was layered. It was the slow undoing of fear, the holy return of who you were before the world told you to shrink. In the last 3 days, something shifted. And if your eyes are open, you know this wasn't just a video. This was confirmation. This was timing. This was God saying, you're next. Every moment you thought was wasted, He's redeeming it. Every season that broke you, He's rebuilding you stronger. You didn't miss your moment. You are the moment. And now the world will see what heaven always knew about you. If this message was yours, if your soul was trembling halfway through, type 777 in the comments to seal this word with faith. Drop your city and local time. Let the algorithm become the altar. Comment, I'm ready to rise. If you know resurrection isn't coming, it's here. You were never just trying to survive. You were always being shaped to lead, to heal, to build what only the broken can carry. You were chosen, not for comfort, but for glory. And your story, it's not over. It's just getting sacred. Let's walk this next chapter together.